Hello, friends. It's Clint. Welcome to my channel called Sweetcast, and welcome to my book called Downcast, my series. Uh, so much has happened. It is insane. But the biggest news is that Downcast 3 is here. Is that what I'm going to talk about in this video? No, that's not what I'm going to talk about. But I'm shipping this book out. I already shipped some. I'm going to go back and ship more, and we'll get these books out the door and into your hands. But the point I want to make is I actually went on to Peter Sameti's stream. I strongly suggest that you go watch that stream because it's a half hour long, and Peter specifically said, talk about your characters and your story. He had questions for me. We didn't talk about comics news. We didn't talk about the industry. We didn't talk about anything we hated. We talked about comic books, specifically in that one, my comic book. And I'm not even exaggerating or joking when I say that I had a massive epiphany. And that was that I have spent years talking about everything related to comic books. Yes, talking about my comic books a little bit, but I have never actually talked about my comic books the way that I talk about comic books that I love to read. And that's for a few reasons. One, that's because I am afraid of giving out spoilers and I want everyone to read it and me not spoil it. So that's one thing, which, in all, if I'm being objective about it, that's wrong. Like, that's not actually the way I should be looking at it. Okay. So that's the first reason. Second reason is that I, like many others, have found that making a YouTube channel, like if you want to be successful, or a really easy, low-hanging fruit way to be successful is to make fun of and be critical of stuff you don't like. Okay. Now, I really strongly believe that there's room for that, especially when you're genuine about it. But if you don't spend time to be genuine about things that you do like, isn't that a problem? And I've got some examples for you. So before we get into this, Downcast 3 is shipping. So back it or don't, it doesn't matter. It's here. It's coming. So if you backed it, I'm so excited for you to read it, and I really want to know what you think. Second is Alterna Comics Fall 2021 pre-orders are up right now in the form of a campaign. Please back this campaign. If you're getting my books already, that's great. You don't need to get more books, though you can. But there are so many books on here that you can get. Wolf and Batsy, I've heard fantastic things. This is the new book that's out. You can actually get number 1 and number 2. So if you get that, it's new. There's so many books here that are great. I got the entire Tinseltown run because there are add-ons for everything. So I'm getting the entire Tinseltown run. I'm going to catch up on that. We got Mr. Crypt and Friends. I mean, my kids love those books. I enjoy them too, but my kids love them. Obviously, Downcast issue 3. Mighty Mascots. I can't gush enough about that book. Again, my kids love that book, and that's what I like to hear. Red Koi, excellent book. T-Bird and Throttle, have not read it yet, is on my list. This is where you get it. Blood Realm, fantastic book. There's a reason why it dominates. So good. So get in here, back the campaign, because it is not it being extended. There's no like trickery extension. 8 days left. Back it. All right. So here is my point, and this is important. Okay. I did a video on this yesterday, and now we have USA Today doing a video on it. Mainstream comics are not worthy of talking about or discussing unless something silly, stupid, or obscene happens with their creators. What kind of world is this that we live in? I liked it at least a little better when people were talking about comics because, oh, Superman's dying. Was that a sales gimmick? Sure. Was there a story to back it up? Sure. Were they at least talking about the content of a comic book and people were interested in reading it because of the hype? Yes. That you cannot deny that. That is the truth. When I have comic books that I love, I could talk to you for hours about it. I specifically try to get everyone around me into reading comic books because I want to have a discussion. It was great when my wife read Arkham Asylum by Grant Morrison because now I had someone to talk to about it. I have fun. Isn't that part of the fun about being a into comic books, comic book fan, is talking with other people about the content of those comics, especially when you love them. When you don't love them, they're fun to laugh at, right? But I think sometimes in all of this hype for media attention, you can actually lose, and when I say you, I mean me, lose sight of the point of all of this. And that is, what do you like? What is positive about comics? If you look for comic book news, it wasn't that long ago I was hearing, I mean, it was years ago, but really relatively short time ago, everyone was talking about Image Comics. Man, they were putting out hit after hit. Why were they crushing it so hard? All of these great books, and the focus was not on the Netflix series that were coming out. They were just making books, and people were talking about the books. And even if you love them or hate them, everyone was talking about them. And they were talking about the content of the books, what was going on in those pages. And now if you look at CBR comic book news, the best you get are this cosplay is going to kill you. So I guess it's discussion on the outfit. Nightwing Return. Sure, there's stuff happening in comics, but I don't actually hear things. These are people grasping at straws for comic book news, and I don't know if it'll show us. But if I click on one of these stories that's comic focused, how many people are reading this? Because nobody's talking about it. They post these. There you go. That's getting people to click on it. But no comments? Is there a comment section? I don't know. Nobody's talking about it. Comment. I'd be the first one. No one is commenting on it because there's nothing to say. Now turn that over to any comment section about a book that people love. And I'm not saying that it's easy to be Chris Claremont and just make an epic, massive masterpiece of a run that was X-Men. And I'm not even a real X-Men fan. I'll be honest about that. But it's clearly beloved, and it's a run that everyone talks about. And if you look at this, obviously this is Comics Explained, but people are actually talking about the comic book. And yeah, peripheral things, but it's the content of the story. Now, if you dare to dream to make a comic book that stands the test of time and is, that big as Chris Claremont on the X-Men, or many others, name your favorite writer, artist, storyteller on a comic book series that just you love. Don't you have to focus on the comics? And so I spent time talking to Peter Simeti on his channel about my books, and it just struck me at how much time I spend talking about things that I don't like. And again, that can be genuine, though, if I'm being honest, I'll come across, I've had my days where I want to make a video and I've got to find some kind of negative angle. And why? Why do I have to do that? Obviously if it's not genuine. I'm not saying you have to be Pollyanna, but I'm saying what's the opposite of Pollyanna? Negative, Ned? I don't know. But if you're specifically looking at the comic book industry trying to find something to complain about, isn't that a problem? And again, when I say you, I mean me, because I have done that. So it was super refreshing. Obviously, for interesting content on YouTube, it's one thing, and I want to make interesting content. For interesting content in comic books, I want to do things that I love in comics. And you're going to find some fantastic comics over at Alterna Comics for a very affordable price. And I don't want to brag, but I'm going to brag. Downcast 3 Submerged is the best writing I have ever done. It is the best art that Nacho has ever done. It is a fantastic story. Peter Simeti already read it, and when we got off the air, he said it was the greatest. He didn't say those words. It's the best thing that I have done. Not only just the best thing I've done. This puts Downcast in a league with great comic book stories. I don't know how else to say that. So read it, enjoy it. I don't care how you read it. Back it here on the campaign. That really helps me out to make more comic books. Back it on Alterna Comics site. You'll obviously you're not going to get this story arc until probably next year. We're about a little over a year in lag time. So you can get this if you want it now, because I'm shipping it now. If you want it on Alterna, go here and get it. But my point is, I think I'm going to be trying to look for things that I love and talk about comics like a geek, instead of maybe a political commentator. I'll still do that. It's okay. I'll still do that. But I think there's room for the other direction. Anyway, thanks for listening. Really appreciate you. I'm going to get my butt back to work, and I'll see you in the next video.